We're looking at something different today, Will. We're going to break down relationships and attachment styles because I've realized sometimes when we show up in a relationship, we realize we're not actually arguing with the person opposite, we're arguing with ourselves. And maybe we're not even acting our age. Maybe this 30-year-old man is reacting with the panic or the coldness of a child. And I've always thought about these attachment styles, they're deep rooted into our personality. Can we change them? What are they? How do they appear? And these attachment styles, I think, are a really great insight into understanding how we show up in relationships. So if you're happy to jump in with me, I'd love to ask, what are the attachment styles? What are the four main attachment styles?
The four main ones are secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized.
Yeah, nice. That's exactly what I've got. Do you know which one you are, out of curiosity?
Yeah, I did one of those tests a while back, and I was avoidant.
Does that resonate for you? Do you feel like that is a astute observation?
Yeah, because when you read into it, it says that it's sort of you crave independence, but sort of also want the relationship to be there, just in like there. But then when I've had enough closeness, like I want to keep you at arm's length so that I can carry on doing my thing. And that is completely me. I want to just, like I was saying, I want to just book an Airbnb for a week, 2 weeks, just go and play guitar and not have to worry about the world.
So you value your independence highly as an avoidant.
Yeah, but I really feel like I can't succeed when I have people around. Like I have to just lock myself into like a zone.
What is it about that extreme independence that makes you nervous when it comes into a relationship? And I'm sure there's times where it might feel more prevalent than others. I don't know if any other avoidants listening resonate, but there might be times where you're feeling very like insecure and need that extreme independence, but other times where you feel like you can lean into that emotional vulnerability, that emotional intimacy.
Yeah, I mean, I usually sit on the I want to be on my own most of the time. It's just easier for me.
Is that to keep yourself safe, do you think?
I panic when I'm not working because I feel like I'm wasting my life. So doing anything other than working and going towards my goals of success is just a waste of time.
So let's start with avoidant people then. We're going to look at our avoidant, dismissive attachment style first of all. We'll break down all four, but I'm going to say some triggers that I researched for avoidance, and you let me know if they tick.
Trigger
so
me.
Put your hand up like this, and then every time I say one, you can knock it down.
Okay, let's do it.
So does this trigger you, or you feel like it would trigger you? Situation that would threaten your independence? Being forced to talk about your emotions? Partner demands your attention? Moving to a more committed stage of the relationship? No? Okay, nice. And then back up. These are apparently how people show love if they are an avoidant. So if these resonate with you, you can drop a finger. They can form relationships and may express their care through practical actions rather than words. They like to provide financial stability. You enjoy sharing hobbies. Nice.
Yeah.
So it resonates quite...
Now ask me if any of those things in my relationship are true.
Why would they not be true?
Because they're not. Like, we don't share any hobbies. I actively avoid spending time with her by working. I feel like talking about emotions is a waste of my time because I can't engage in those conversations. But I do like the idea of having a long-term stable relationship. So it's sort of...
Okay.
How strong is that? That is like the only thing that keeps me in the relationship.
Is wanting that secure relationship.
Is wanting that secure relationship.
Okay.
The others are sort of... That one seems to matter the most because the others fall by the sides of that.
Okay, so key traits of an avoidant here is tend to keep their partners and their friends at arm's length, viewing close relationships as threats to their autonomy or freedom. Obviously, I know for you, this applies to, say, your workload, how you like to show up for work. Speaking now in a bit of a broader sense for avoidance out there, how do you think this feeling like it's a threat to your autonomy or freedom, how do you think that shows up for them in a relationship?
I think it comes down to obligations. You don't want to have to do things for other people if it doesn't work towards your goals.
Yeah, I can understand that. So it might appear cold and selfish, maybe.
Yeah.
If they're prioritizing themselves, it might come across that they don't have time or they don't love their partner, when that may not be true, but how they want to keep themselves safe or want to navigate through the relationship is keeping that partner a little bit more of a safe distance.
But the avoidant doesn't care.
Okay.
It doesn't, like, so what, this is going to upset you. I'm doing me.
Do you think that's across the board for... Because that is a legitimate question. I'm legitimately
Yeah, I think
curious.
so. I think that's why they do it. Because if you did care, you wouldn't say those things. It's like, that is a trait of avoidance.
That's interesting. Okay. So other avoidants will want to keep people at arm's length, but they won't... It's not the case they want to hurt people. It's more maybe they want to protect themselves.
Yeah, they want to know they're there. They want to have the friendship group to reach out to. And maybe say to other people, oh, yeah, my friendship group does X, Y, and Z. But in terms of day-to-day activities, feel like they're just better off doing things by themselves.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm with you. I'm there trying to understand. So, core beliefs of an avoidant, they subconsciously believe they can only depend on themselves, that relying on others are riskier and safe.
Yep.
So, would that imply, not for all, but again, we're talking on averages, that people that maybe associate with avoidant feel the need to constantly rely on themselves because they've been let down, either in past relationships or through childhood beliefs?
Yeah. Like, I know where mine comes from.
Okay.
Mine comes from my parents breaking up and seeing that dad had to give the majority of his money and assets to my mum. It's like, oof, I never want that to happen to me, so I'm going to make sure I can look after myself. And that's fundamentally where everything comes from. So
it came a deep-rooted belief that the only person you can rely on is yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
I need to know that if I get 76% or whatever it was that she got taken away from me, I can still provide for myself next month.
Isn't it interesting how the fear culminates into just this sheer wall of protection for you?
Yeah. I mean, all the way through my teenage life, it was like, well, I'm just never going to get married. I might have a relationship, I might not, but I don't care because I need to make sure that I can do all these things. And then maybe once I've got so much that it would be unreasonable that I would ever suffer, then I can get in a relationship.
Okay. Does knowing that you're an avoidant or some of the traits help you navigate the relationship that you're in?
It explains a lot of the reasons why I do things. Mm-hmm. It doesn't change anything. It's like still who I am fundamentally.
Okay. So I got some behaviors that avoidants show in relationships again during the research, because I found this topic super interesting. They engage in distance-seeking behavior. So when a partner tries to get too close, they feel trapped or controlled. I wonder if a man, this is a guess from me, use the words trapped and the woman use the words controlled.
Yeah, maybe. I'd probably use both.
Okay. Maybe it's not limited
or
to
restricted.
genders. Restricted, yeah. Anything that sort of threatens their autonomy, whether or not it is actually being threatened, it feels like it's a perceived threat.
Yep.
Okay. Avoidance of vulnerability. They tend to avoid talking about feelings or deep emotional topics, often keeping conversations on surface level.
Yeah.
What impact do you think that has on the relationship, just as a little caveat, if there is an avoidance of vulnerability? And again, I'm not saying this is a attack on you or any other avoidance, because trust me, I'm going to get to mine and you can pick me apart because God knows it's true. But I'm wondering what that avoidance of vulnerability has if conversations are always surface level.
Vulnerability is the key to deepening the relationship. If you don't have vulnerability in your relationship, then you can't know that person as well and they can't know you. Therefore, they can't know your deepest needs and requirements.
Can I just celebrate you for a minute? episode 1, you would never have been able to say anything like that. We are what episode? I don't even know what we are today.
89?
90.
It could be 90
I don't
actually,
know.
yeah. Jesus Christ, that's so many.
Yeah. But the language you're using is just unheard of. So I'm proud of you for that, man. Self-reliance. They take pride in being highly independent and rarely ask for help. I think it's the taking pride in being highly independent. You know, they take pride in it. So when your pride's wrapped up in being highly independent, even if you need help, if your pride's attached, you're likely unable to ask.
Yep.
Which I suppose is good. You know, you've taught yourself to rely on yourself. That's great. That's admirable. But if it's coming at the expense of closeness and relationships, that's when it can be damaging. And then lastly, deactivation strategies. So when intimacy becomes too high or conflict arises, they may deactivate, such as shut down, which can include ignoring texts, creating drama to leave, or become cold.
Yeah, that's me.
Care to expand?
Yeah, I mean, if Soph's asking me to do something and I've said no, and that sparks an argument, it's like I don't engage in the argument, I just shut off.
That probably doesn't help the relationship, does it?
But I don't care.
In the moment you don't care, or just in general?
General.
Wow, okay.
And in the moment.
Is that because you really want to keep yourself safe? When you really think about it, is that the answer? Because I know you and I know how much you love Soph.
I don't know how to argue. And also, if I argue back, that's not the time to actually have solutions. Like, nobody's in a headspace to concede or actually come up with a reasonable solution. So it's much better we just ignore it and then discuss it in a calm way later.
Okay. What you're maybe suggesting is when people argue or disagree, or someone brings a problem, what they're asking to be is heard. So matching their energy might not be the most beneficial circumstance.
Yeah, it's never. And also, I use it as a way to wind her up. Or
Wonderful.
anyone up.
Wonderful.
It's like, if somebody is like frothing at the mouth angry with you, and you're just like, okay, sure. Like, it just really shows how out of proportion they're being. And it just gets under the skin.
Or maybe you're minimizing their feelings.
Yeah, because they're not relevant.
Well, maybe because you've taught yourself that you don't need to feel feelings. You have a fear of expressing these emotions, that you minimize others to make them feel small and insignificant. So
Yeah.
you don't feel as alienated for not having them or avoiding them.
Yeah.
Just a guess.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So that's, if we're looking at the attachment styles, obviously we'll give an overarching of all of them, but that's the first one is avoidant, which is where you said you sat. I've also done the test, and I sit at the disorganized.
Really? Not secure?
Absolutely not. So disorganized is an insecure style driven by deep desire for intimacy, paired with an intense fear of rejection or harm, often stemming from childhood trauma or neglect. So it's a very much push and pull dynamic, that you crave the closeness and the relationship and the connection, but you become overwhelmed or fearful when it actually appears.
Yeah.
So
That does describe you.
Yeah, unfortunately, it does. So characteristics and behavior is the push-pull dynamic. So intense desire for love paired with a fear of getting too close. So it's a constant push and pull. And you've heard my internal monologues, which is, I really want to meet someone. And you're like, do something. I'm like, no, I don't want that. But that's just a minuscule, like, layer of it. And when you're in that relationship, it's that constant, like, I want to feel connected to this person, but I'm terrified if I get too close. I'm terrified of what that means. It unfortunately can imply, for a lot of people, volatile emotions. You know, frequent extreme shifts in emotional states, just as being extremely loving, then extremely distant, which unfortunately was true in my last relationship. Trust issues, so deep-seated mistrust in others, often assuming they will be hurt or rejected. That one didn't apply to me. I'm actually quite a trusting person. I don't know if that's ever come across, but I do very much believe in face value. If someone tells me something, I take them at what they've told me. Unfortunately, A characteristic is low self-esteem, so it pairs well, and that is something that I've struggled with. Poor self-regulation and avoidance of conflict and tension. With those all overarching things, where do you think they come from? What do you think an underlying trait would be for someone that feels this push and pull relationship? You know, you mentioned avoidance has come from a past experience that taught you need to be hyper independent. Where do you think this might come from for someone that's experiencing fearful avoidance / disorganized?
It's just childhood stuff, isn't it? It's like, if you learn that you get close to people and then you get hurt from a young age, you're not going to want to put yourself in those situations going forward, which then feeds into the fear of rejection, as well as the lack of self-esteem.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It also comes down to if your caregiver, if your caregiver was the source of both fear and safety. So if your parents or a parent or a brother or a sister or whoever you lived with was the source of safety and also the fear, that creates that dynamic of, well, I'm meant to love you, but I'm also terrified. You know, if your caregiver has a history of inconsistent, like caring or unpredictable, chaotic nurture, you're never going to know where you stand. So it creates that push and pull, and that's what you learn love is. Or could be. So yeah, that's definitely where I sit. It's a scary one, and it plays out in relationships. But yeah, there's the disorganized. There's anxious, and there's secure. Should we leave secure for last? Because
that's the goal.
They're the losers. Who wants to be in a boring relationship where you feel loved all the time?
Yeah. And love them back.
Yeah. Anxious. Talk to me about anxious attachments. Do you have any understanding of where anxious might lean to?
Overly needy, protective, potentially jealousy.
Yeah, you're right, man.
Yeah,
like,
not wanting them out your sight, almost.
Constant need for reassurance, clinginess, and over dependence. Yeah, you're spot on. That's exactly where it comes from. So it's fear of abandonment, it's a low self-esteem, and it's an intense, constant desire for closeness and validation. That's where anxious comes from. And I think it's likely got the harshest rep of all of them. If you look at the insecure attachment styles, which is the 3 we're looking at first. I think it's the one that gets the harshest feedback because how much are we taught? Avoid the clingy person, or we don't want to be with that person that constantly needs you. You know, if you see someone that's got, they're hyper independent, that's good. You know, I don't want to be too needy. You know, the push and pull thing, no one really sees that until you're in the relationship.
Yeah.
So it's the anxious that gets the brunt of people's judgment. But in reality, it's just, as all of them are, it's just a desire to be loved, isn't it? But yeah, you're right. Constant need for reassurance, clinginess, over dependence. There is also low self-worth and high view of others that factor into that as well. Again, any idea of where this might come from? And I think all of them play into the same wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's just childhood disruption. Some sort of, maybe trauma is the right word if you say it as an event occurred that changed your behaviour permanently. It's like... Yeah,
so inconsistent parenting in early childhood. Caregiver might be responsive and loving at times, but neglectful and distracted at others, leaving the child uncertain if their needs are going to be met. You know, it would teach the child they need to become hyper vigilant, often magnifying their emotions to ensure that they receive attention. Do you know what I think is really funny with these sort of insecure attachment styles? Is likely someone could experience the same sort of experience. We could have similar dynamics, which we did with parents got divorced at similar ages, I believe. But we've internalized that very differently.
Yeah.
You know, you're on one. I know where you are. I know where my brother sits, and I know where I sit, and all of us are different. And I'd be curious if you reflected on where your brothers sit, and where they might sit as well.
Yeah, I think my middle brother is the same as me, avoidant. Took it to the extreme of just avoiding relationships. Youngest brother is probably more on the anxious side.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely fearful of hurting others and getting hurt himself.
Yeah. That's where my brother sits, as the anxious. I hope he doesn't mind me saying. But yeah, that's where.
Won't watch this.
Yeah, that's where he sits. But the impact the anxious can have is like they avoid conflict and escalations. They might overinvest into healthy relationships, acting as caregivers, trying to please others. Yeah, and they unfortunately can be attracted to avoidant partners, creating a cycle where they chase the intimacy that the avoidant person never gives them. And then lastly, secure. Do you want to jump in on secure?
Those old rapscallions. I'm going to take a guess that secure is everything that insecure isn't. So you're comfortable with your partner. You're not overly needy. You're also not overly independent. You are okay to ask for help when needed. Your self-esteem is at a regulated level. Your mood swings aren't as vast. And you're generally just a nice person to be around, and hats off to your parents.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, it's close, comfort with closeness, open communication, good emotional regulation. They can set healthy boundaries. They're supportive, empathetic. It's really where we want to all strive to be. And I wonder if someone constantly sits in one of these styles or if they vary between all of them. But in reality, this is where we want to be, right? This is the safe place to be. You're comfortable with intimacy and independence and interdependence, trusting partners, communicating needs clearly. Yeah.
Do you think it's possible to go from one of the insecure attachment styles into secure?
Absolutely.
And what do you think is required for that to happen?
You would need to work with your partner. So you'd need to have clear, open communication. You'd both need to explain where it is you're coming from, what issues you can face, and then work through them together. But you also need to accept your role in it, and likely whether that's therapy, CBT, any sort of way that you can work through your past traumas is going to help you as well. So that might be a journey in yourself. Where does my avoidance come from? Where does my disorganized come from? Where does my anxious come from? You need to look at it, understand it, so you can move past it. So I definitely think you could move from one to the other, and that's the goal, right? Because everyone wants to sit in that secure attachment style.
Well, I'm actively scared to. I like, and this could be back to the safety thing of like, I really enjoy being quite independent. I like my own space and like working ridiculous hours because I feel like I need that uncomfortable push to get the best out of me. So I'd be scared to become, oh yeah, I'm secure. It's like that just feels very unnatural to me.
But it would be secure in regards to your relationship, not regards to how you work outside of it. So you would still be extremely driven, focused, independent, but you'd likely be able to initiate intimacy, show warmth of emotions, have the ability for closeness, have a good balance of personal responsibility in the relationship, and you'd have be able to acknowledge how and why you can show up better in the relationship. So I don't think it would burn any bridges of your inspiration of how you want to progress, but I think it'd just allow you to be more present in the relationship.
I feel like it would just take all the pressure off. It'd be like letting go.
Why do you feel like it'd be like letting go?
Because I don't know if I'd even be motivated to work if I didn't, like, what's my motivation to earn money and do everything, like, if I'm not immediately concerned about my bills?
But that wouldn't change if you're not immediately concerned about your bills just because your relationship's got more secure.
I don't know, I just feel like there's no need to stress about that. It's like you don't need to out-earn everyone and whatever, because your relationship will be fine and we'll just carry on. It's like you just work on that together, and it's like there's no need to just be a multi-billionaire to get through life and all that stuff.
So I like that they are linked for you, but I'm curious as to why they're linked, you know, because
the hyper-independence and the working on the thing is my security. I'm not secure within the relationship, and it's not my partner's fault, it's my fault, because I see the only way that I can keep myself safe is to out-earn everyone.
So you'd likely redefine your method to achieve success and what metrics you use, which would allow you to be a more present person or partner in the relationship. But I also don't think it would remove any degree of ambition. But I think it's ironically, your avoidance telling you it will.
Yeah.
That's likely what's happening now, is I'm telling you what I think would help. I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm telling you what I think would help. But your internal mechanism that's kept you safe for years is going, nope, that's deviation from what we know.
Yeah.
So why would we deviate from that?
Also, all my life, I've looked at people who'd be like, oh yeah, no, I didn't have this opportunity to earn more money and be even more materially successful, but I decided to prioritize X instead. Of like, well, you just gave up then. Like, that's just that was just the end. Like, you actively decided to be worth less, did you? Interesting.
Yep. And I think the reason you're saying that is because that's how you want to navigate through life. But I, again, don't think that's tied or should be tied to your relationship. You clearly want to achieve great things financially, business-wise. You do. But if your relationship was a little bit more secure, I don't think, one, it would come at the cost of your drive and your ambition. Two, wouldn't affect your goals and ambitions. It would, if anything, help you feel more grounded in your pursuit of it. Because that's how you will deem your life to be successful. Whereas someone else might not, and they might find that it's better spent in a hobby.
Very interesting, this. I'm having like a crisis internally at the moment.
You are, I can tell. You're having an internal existential crisis. It's great. We can all watch him unravel. Everybody zoom in. I don't know if you can zoom in, but do it anyway. Onto Will's face. And let's just all stare at him. And at this point, you can comment, be like, go Will.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at the attachment styles, imagine you've got a cross like this, up and down, and across. If you've got low anxiety on one end and high anxiety on the other, which two are we thinking will be in the low anxiety? And which two do we think will be in the high anxiety?
Security is low anxiety.
Yes, correct.
And you've got avoidant.
Well, you can look at that going, are you an anxious person in a relationship?
No.
So where do you think that one goes?
Well, probably the not.
There you go. Where do you think the anxious one goes?
The anxious.
High anxiety, yeah. So where would the other one go?
Anxious as well.
Exactly, yeah. So that's on the high...
What is the other one?
High anxiety sort of axis, and then you've got up and down. Low avoidance, high avoidance.
Avoidance at the top of avoidance. Security
yes, so
at
high
the bottom.
avoidance would be down here, secure at the other side. Yeah. And then you've got anxious, low avoidance, because obviously they want more. They want that person. They are chasing the attention. Whereas fearful, again, they don't want it. They want it, but they don't. They don't really want it.
So from that, can we extrapolate that the people who are furthest away, for example, anxious and avoidant, are on opposite ends of like neediness?
Yep.
Then that would be a more complicated relationship to work than if you had two that were the same.
You read my mind. So let's look at how they interact in a relationship, shall we? Secure in any style. Secure acts as an anchor, often helping insecure partners become more secure over time through consistent, reliable support. So that is a great dynamic. If you found a secure person, you hold on to them. And if you're a secure person, it's your job to make everyone else better.
I was going to say that. What's in it for the secure person?
Well, it depends, doesn't it? If you are with someone that does actively want to change and is showing motivation to change and taking the steps, you're likely going to feel very supported as well. But if you're trying and you're hitting a brick wall every fucking time, you're going to be like, well, fuck this, I'm out. Because you'll be secure enough to understand where your boundaries are to not stay with that person and be like, why am I wasting time on you? You know, you wear flip-flops and socks. Why am I wasting time on you?
Quite a nice fashion.
All right. So, the one you mentioned, anxious and avoidant, often called the pursuer and the distancer dynamic. This is the most common and volatile match. This is from what I could find in my research. The anxious partner craves the intimacy and demands the validation, while the avoidant partner feels smothered and withdraws, causing the anxious person to pursue harder, thus making the circle worse.
It explains a lot, I guess.
I wonder what your partner is.
I'll get her to do the test when she gets home. And then we'll have a deep conversation about how we can fix ourselves.
Anxious and anxious. Both partners consistently seek reassurance, resulting in a high need, often codependent relationship that comes overwhelmed by a fear of abandonment. Do you fear codependency in your relationship?
I suppose I do. I don't want to need anything from anyone.
I agree. I'm the same. So codependency is characterized by an excessive emotional or psychological reliance on a partner. So yeah, anxious can often cause codependency. Avoidant and avoidant?
What's the point of being together?
Relationships tend to be stable, but emotionally
they
distant.
don't know each other.
Yeah, emotionally distant, prioritizing independence over closeness, which can lead to a lack of deep connection.
Do you reckon if you do an avoidant, or you do this test and you come out as avoidant, and the other person does as well, that would make long distance relationships work? And that's the only combination that works for long distance.
Are you just trying to suggest that for me?
No.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Avoidance and avoidance.
Oh, avoidant and avoidant.
Because
it could, because
you
yeah,
don't
like
need
you say,
constant closeness.
Yeah.
And monitoring.
Yeah, very true. That could be.
And that could be why so many long distance relationships don't work, is because there's a mismatch of one that's avoidant and one that's not.
Yeah, an anxious person shouldn't be
in a long distance relationship.
But do you think long distance relationships can work?
Well, this is what I'm trying to get at. Like, I reckon they can if you're both avoidant people. I don't know. Like,
but then would either of you be making the effort to actually hang out?
Well, no, but that's why it would work.
But would you then? Are you even in a relationship at that point? You're just people that kind of chat.
Yeah, but that could be what you need.
But that's not a relationship.
It is a relationship.
If you're not building a romantic relationship where you're trying to build a life together and move to the next steps, that's just a friend.
Yeah,
even that's a distant friend because there's no connection.
But you could like Zoom once a week. Just keep in contact.
Maybe. And then how does a disorganized, fearful avoidant appear in a relationship? From all my research, I could find how they interact with any style is exactly the same, which is just they set the tone of this push-pull dynamic, exhibiting behaviors from both anxious and avoidant types. So we lead to inconsistent, erratic behavior, but often intense behavior.
So what can the insecure people do? And we touched on it, it's like working on yourself and talking with your partner. But how can you start to like cross these? So if we were to fix me, for example, I like my independence. I don't like relying on people. They're the two main ones. How can I decide to become less independent? Or is that looking at it the wrong way?
I think that's looking at it the wrong way.
So how might I go about becoming less hyper-independent?
You would want to try and understand what emotional triggers cause you to want to feel independent.
lack of income.
You'd have to look over we're not talking about you specifically. This isn't a therapy session for you. It could be.
It could be easily.
But yeah, you'd want to identify what emotional responses or what reactions you have to certain stimulus. Help identify those so that way you can identify the patterns and the triggers. You want to practice, and this, you're going to hate this, so you're going to slap me. So I'm just going to practice active listening.
That's so boring.
So you got to focus on understanding other people's emotions without immediately trying to solve the problem or leaving the conversation.
Why would anyone do that?
So you can feel more connected to your partner. So they can feel more connected to you.
I won't feel more. I'll feel bored.
Nope, but the whole point is you're trying to work through these issues that you perceive to be issues.
So it's just doing that and exposing myself to active listening.
Yep. Being engaged, caring about someone else other than yourself. Next one.
You didn't mention these would be hard.
Yeah, because if fixing yourself or improving yourself was easy, everyone would be 5 stars.
Yeah, fine.
I am a 5-star man. You ready? Reach out first. Proactively engage with people. Initiate contact. Build social plans. Build relationship dates. So that way
I just took my girlfriend for a weekend getaway
Yeah, that was designed for you.
It was, slightly. But
you went, I'm going away.
You can
Do you want to come? Yeah, this is
she
it.
She said no and I booked the tickets.
And lastly, respect. Don't disengage. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, communicate the need for space rather than just disappearing.
This is awful.
Soz, mate.
So, does it recommend that you should fake interest?
No.
But what if you're genuinely not interested?
You have to work on communicating that with your partner.
So if she's telling me about her day and I'm not interested, then I should just say I'm not interested.
No, I think you should say, I'm having a hard time connecting with you on this. Like, let's continue working through this. Like, can you tell me? Because you want to build an emotional connection to the story. So you want to better understand these people. You want to be, the more you actively engage in the listening, the more you will start wanting to engage in the listening because you'll build connections to the stories and the people that they're saying.
Right.
Because likely she's talking to you about the same kids day after day after day.
Yeah.
If your partner works in childcare and they are.
Yeah, this is general advice.
Yeah, this is general advice. Okay, so how are we improving disorganized? Which is me.
Maybe I think the core one that we'll find through all of them is just clear communication.
Yeah, agreed.
Is explaining how you're feeling in that moment. Because we don't know in that moment if you're going to feel hyper independent or if you're going to feel incredibly needy or you're going to feel like you have no idea what's going on. So just explaining that, which is very difficult because obviously you need to look internally first to try and figure out what it is that you're feeling.
So all of them are building self-awareness, aren't they? If you're trying to work out of this insecure attachment style, you need to build self-awareness in there. Yeah. Next is, for me, well, one of the avenues is develop trust and secure behaviors. So build trust slowly. You start by small trust in manageable steps rather than rushing into intense intimacy. Model secure attachment styles. So connect with people that have the secure attachment styles. You can learn what it looks like. Improve communication around boundaries, which is what you said, and foster self-compassion.
Yeah.
What about improving or working on anxious attachments?
Chill out.
Yeah, well, if they're constantly seeking other people to regulate their emotions, they would need to then learn to self-regulate, self-soothe. You know, because they need to understand that they are in charge of their own emotional regulation and they can get reassurance from themselves, and they can have meditation, deep breathing, journaling to help manage those responses. Again, build independence and self-esteem, because if they're anxious and they feel like they need the other person's support, building that independence is a great way to go through it. And how do we fix secure people?
I think it's important that secure people become more paranoid about the status of their relationship. I think they should try doing some things on their own more independently and force others out. If you've got an issue, try and solve it independently.
Yeah.
Don't reach out for
Stop being so emotionally open with people, Close yourself off a little bit. Be a little bit more selfish.
Imagine a life where you didn't have to feel sadness. How good does that sound? Yeah, exactly. Go for that. It's better.
Gonna go pee.
Do it.
How do you feel this is going?
I'm enjoying this conversation.
Yeah,
it's genuinely... I've never used the word in a non-sarcastic way, but it is riveting.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Doing what you said. I'm reaching out first.
Are you?
Yeah. I said, how's your day? Which kid are you with? Are they behaving? Are you training? What would be another one that I would... If I had
You don't need to. That's perfect. You don't need to do too much, man.
if I had to care. Oh, I forgot to put the kisses on though, so I'll get mine done. Because she's anxious. She pisses me off, honestly. Hate her more and more by the day.
Okay. Okay. So we've done like an overarching view on what attachment styles are. We've broken down each one individually, but attachment styles are the patterns of relating to others in relationships shaped by early childhood experiences with caregivers that influence how we seek intimacy, handle conflict, and view ourselves and others. Again, this is secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. And it's... How did I do?
I don't count like that. That's cool.
Well, do I do this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's because I've always done it that way. I can't lift up though.
No, I don't think anyone can.
So yeah, I just do
Crazy.
that. Anyway.
Completely unrelated.
Yeah, so we've gone through this. So what I mentioned in the beginning is we can feel like we regress. We feel like we're back to childhood when we have conflict with our significant others. So a question I came across a lot when it came to attachment styles is, why do I feel like a child during conflict?
Yeah. Because it just resonates, isn't it? It's... when I've felt this feeling before, that the strongest bond you'll have to that feeling is when you first felt it as a kid, because that's the one that set off the alarm bells in your brain, like, this is dangerous, or this is unknown. So yeah, you panic or shut off or don't know what to do.
Yeah, likely the first conflict you experienced was with your caregiver, whoever that might have been. And if that person has shaped your attachment style and how you communicate with your romantic partner, you're going to feel maybe like you've regressed emotionally. Unless you're secure. Obviously, if you're secure, you might feel a little bit more grounded. But if you're an anxious person, when you're in conflict, you're going to struggle. You're going to feel probably quite dwarfed, and you just want to break down these walls and feel connected to this person. It's tough, isn't it? Like you say, there's almost a regression. It takes us back to where we used to be.
Yeah. Which I suppose, if you can catch yourself when you're in that moment, could help with healing it, because you become aware.
How so?
For example, if, I don't know, say something happened when you were a kid and somebody was shouting at you, and then you're in a relationship and somebody shouts at you, you're going to go back to that time psychologically as when you were a kid being shouted at, as you are as an adult being shouted at. And therefore, if you can acknowledge the fact that it's the same feeling, then you can start to work through it potentially. Maybe not in that moment, but upon reflection.
Do you think that's why such small things can trigger such big emotions?
Could be. But I can see where this leads, and therefore...
Yeah, because if you've experienced a similar scenario as a child, and it's a learned behaviour that this sort of scenario, this sort of conflict, this sort of discussion leads to a certain outcome, you're almost jumping ahead, or you're immediately trying to protect yourself from a perceived threat. Not that the actual threat has even presented itself. You've just gone, well, this is how it felt. Therefore, I now need to emote this certain way to keep myself safe.
Yeah.
You know, you might feel, if you've got an avoidant attachment style, when someone is asking for closeness, it then questions your boundaries you've put down or the security you feel like you need. And you might feel like pushing back a little bit and withdrawing. Yeah. And it might seem like such a small insignificant thing to the person that's brought the conversation, but it triggers such a big response in them.
That even I've got an example of that when we were talking in the friendship group. I was saying how I think I was investing a lot of the time and spending a lot of time working on YouTube or whatever. We were talking as a group, and the group basically decided that, well, it might be a good idea for you to sort of chill out, not live so frugally, like try and just enjoy life a little bit more. And I came away from that conversation being more certain than ever that I needed to double down, triple down, quadruple down. I just wanted, like, that's not the right way to think. And yeah, crazy.
It's because it's questioned what kept us safe in the past.
Yeah, it's your fundamentals. It's like, it's not the surface level conversation. It's all the other things behind it. It's like, why did I feel the need that I needed to invest? And well, that leads back to the hyper independence. Mm-hmm. And the problem as well with financial stuff is if you've been successful at it, you've got so many positive reinforcers that that's the right thing. It's like, well, I don't mind sacrificing having Tesco's own bread versus Hovis, because I can save £1 and invest that £1, and if that lasts for 30, 40 years, then that'll be worth way more. And then, hang on a second, that's another, and that's a tangible change I can make. So it's like, just do that across every aspect, and then people are telling me to chill out, just get the bread that you want. It's like, no, that's stupid.
And it seems like such an irrational response to those that aren't within that dialogue or that internal dialogue that it seems like such a big emotion for such a small thing, but in reality it's questioned a fundamental value or boundary that's kept you safe for so long. You know, and you mentioned one that isn't even remotely to do with relationships, which is great. It shows how deep-rooted these sort of insecurities and these attachment styles are to try and keep us safe.
It's shattered my world. Finding out that I'm avoidant, because it's so true. It's like, I can see how unhealthy that... Because if you were to tell me, this person over here, their attachment style is avoidance, I'm like, oh, I don't want to be an avoidant person. Now I did it myself and I'm avoidant. It's like, oh God. Like, I'm the problem.
Yeah, but let's face it, the only one you'd want to be is secure. So if you're not secure, that's when it feels like we're the wrong one.
Yeah, maybe.
Because all have their perks, all have their challenges, but secure is the goal that we're reaching for.
It was also interesting because part of the test, it asks you for your relationship to your mum and your relationship with your dad. And I seem to agree a lot more with the things to do with dad than I did with mum. And that would make sense because I saw he was the person that had all the stuff taken away in the divorce. And so I would relate more to that character, which then, comes out as being avoidant, because that's how I achieve the security that he eventually got.
Yeah, it's just barriers that we've put in place to keep us safe. You know, we've boxed ourselves in because if we know this, this is where we can thrive. But if we step outside that, we don't know that. And it means that someone could question our worldview. And that's scary. Yeah, I like that. So, why do I overreact in relationships? Why do I overreact in relationships was a constant question that kept coming up. Is why do I overreact in relationships?
Yeah, it's all got to be down to safety, isn't it, and self-preservation. Do you agree?
No, I do agree. I definitely think it's a self-preservation tactic, isn't it? You know, it's unresolved past traumas which are pulling the strings behind the scenes. And if someone's even just shone a light on it, not even touched it, not even looked at it, they're just going, oh, what's in there? You're going to not necessarily blow up. And it may not even be an overreaction, but it's just disproportionate to the attention drawn onto it.
Yeah.
There's an estimate that 80% of overreactions are triggered by past experiences, such as childhood emotional neglect or abusive partners, while only 20% stems from the actual current incident.
That 80-20 rule keeps cropping up.
Yeah. So it shows the importance of looking at your past traumas, doesn't it? It shows the importance of actually doing the deep work, questioning your own beliefs, being reflective on those moments where we feel like we need to push back or where we need to lean into that person or whether we want to have a push and pull. Whatever, however you assign to your attachment style, you need to understand what your triggers and what your triggers are, man.
Yeah. Do you think most people go through life without ever finding or putting their finger on it?
Yep. I think one of the scariest things someone can do in their life is to live their life. No, there's a quote in therapy, actually, from therapists, I should say, that's an unexamined life is not worth living.
That makes sense. Because you don't really know who you are.
Yep. You're navigating with a set of rules that you've never clearly identified. You're navigating with a set of criteria that you have no idea how it impacts you on a day-to-day. An unexamined life is not worth living.
Great quote.
I like it. But yeah, why do I overact in relationships? There's the amygdala hijack, isn't it? So when you perceive a threat, even if it's a social one, you enter that fight or flight, that emotional center of your brain. The amygdala reacts quicker than your logical part of your brain because it's trying to keep you safe quicker than your logical brain can make sense of it. So it's going to lead to those impulsive, reactive outbursts. Yeah, I don't see you as someone that emotionally blows up.
No, I avoid it.
Yeah, you do.
I literally do. I don't see the point. Like, if I can see that I'm right in my view and they think they're right in their view, I don't believe that I'm going to change their perspective. Therefore, I'll just carry on living my life and they can die peacefully. Like.
So I got some clear questions that are based around these different attachment styles. That if people are wondering where they fit, these might be questions you've asked yourselves in relationships. Why do I panic when someone pulls away? It's anxious. Why do I shut down when things get emotional? Avoidant. Why do I want closeness but also push people away?
That's the other one.
It's disorganized. Yeah, exactly. So if any of those resonate with anyone that's listening, why do I panic when someone pulls away? Why do I shut down when things get emotional? Why do I want closeness but push people away? That can help. Just the gravity of those questions can help you understand where the issues might be and where to look. Have you ever asked yourself a similar question of why do you shut down when things get emotional? Or is it this, since doing that test, is just an insight and now we're fully digesting it?
Yeah, since I did that test. Well, previously I'd think, if I was to think that question, I'd be like, because I just know better. It's like I'm elevating above the situation. Whereas the reality is, I just don't want to deal with it.
The reality is it's keeping you safe. Is my attachment style ruining my relationship?
Yeah.
Why did you answer so quickly?
Because it's all so clear now. It's obvious.
What's obvious about it?
Like, who would want to be in a relationship with somebody that always pulls away and prioritizes everything except them?
Do you think it ruins your relationship then?
Yeah. And she's told me. She said, Will, you work too much. We need to just do things together. Then we do things together, I'm not present because I'm thinking about all the things I want to be doing. It's like, I'm just an awful person to be with.
So what steps do you think you can take to try and improve that?
That's the £1 million question, isn't it?
The issue I see is not the immediate response you might think. Is not going to be we just need to spend more time with her. Those are not solutions to the problems. They're just band-aids over the problem. It's that you have to find the root cause. Why is it you're working too hard? What is it you're scared of by not working hard? What are you running away from? What past traumas are pulling the strings? That's the questions you need to ask, because if anyone is asking, is their attachment style ruining their relationship? You need to understand how it's being ruined and what is it? What is that underlying cause that's making you act or react in a certain way? Disorganized, you might not even be in a relationship, but like, why can't I get in a relationship? Well, maybe because you say you want it, but then you make no action to make it happen, or when you get close to someone, you back away. People frequently ask if their attachment styles are ruining their relationships. So there's some trends here I had written down. We'll start with avoidant. You might value independence so highly that you view emotional intimacy as a threat to your freedom. This often results in shutting down, withdrawing during conflict, or maintaining secrets to keep emotional distance. Anxious attachment. You may struggle with a deep fear of abandonment, leading to protest behaviors, such as constant texting, seeking excessive reassurance, or becoming hyper-vigilant about small changes in your partner's tone. This can overwhelm partners and push them away. Disorganized. You may experience a push-pull dynamic, craving closeness but fearing it simultaneously. This can lead to inconsistent behavior, such as being intensely affectionate one moment and cold or aggressive the next. How to stop these, however, is you've got to identify the cycle as the enemy. So instead of blaming yourself or your partner, recognize the pattern. Understand it's a separate entity that you can both work together to stop. Then it's emotional regulation. The pause rule. If you feel the urge to send a third text or lash out, wait 20 minutes to allow your nervous system to calm down. If you feel like lashing out or making a brash comment or doing something you know is wrong, give yourself 20 minutes. Pause. Just have a breath. Fact checking. Do I actually have the evidence that they're leaving, or am I just feeling lonely right now? And then communication. So rather than sending testing behaviors, just communicate needs clearly. I'm feeling a little insecure today. Could we talk for 10 minutes? Rather than trying to assume the partner can read our mind, or the partner knows exactly how we're feeling, or making them work to understand how we feel. Just communicate with them. Just be honest. But one thing to note is attachment styles often shift depending on your partner's styles. For example, a formally secure person can become anxious when dating someone highly avoidant. Determining if the problem is your style or an incompatible dynamic is essential.
Yeah, that's a lot for everyone to process, but it will help.
It's a powerful question, that one. Is my attachment style ruining my relationship? But I think if you're asking a question like that, you're already halfway there. Because you're identifying things that could be causing tension. Rather than not even looking. Assuming it's their fault. Putting the blame on yourself and acting as a victim. I reckon for people that are living in this unresolved, unidentified circle, they likely have the same arguments repeating.
Yeah.
What arguments do you think people are having? Especially if it comes to, say, at different attachment styles.
Why don't you text me back? I asked you to do this. Why didn't you do this?
Mm-hmm. I don't feel like you listened to me. I don't feel like you made me a priority. Yeah. Why did the same arguments keep repeating? And those are often, they can be quite surface level, but they can be really deep ones as well. I suppose you got to ask, is it a surface level? Is it really the surface level question that they're saying, or is it an underlying issue? You know, why didn't you text me back? That could be a surface thing. They just wanted to know why you didn't text them back. Or that could be I felt really unloved and unseen today. And it's a repetition. You make me feel that way all the time. Difficult, man. Same arguments keep repeating. It probably feels like you're trapped as well within a relationship. So if people are having arguments, and maybe the arguments keep repeating, are the fights, are the arguments, are the relationship fights really about the present?
Doubtful.
Well, how so?
80% of arguments, you said, are caused by pattern recognition, whether it was conscious or subconscious, of previous things that happened to them that were bad, that caused their particular attachment style. Therefore, it would extrapolate out that 80% of arguments are not about the actual thing that they're arguing about. It's the deeper reason or meaning behind the thing that's triggered something.
Do you think that's because people don't have the ability to actually communicate what the issue is? Or maybe they actually don't even know what the issue is?
You can't have a go at somebody because they've done something that upsets you because of your childhood. You can have a go at somebody for the one thing that they did wrong in that moment. So that's why that's got to come first. But it's on the person being shouted at to say, what's this really about?
It's the old fear, new clothes kind of mindset, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's an old fear, it's an old pattern, but it's just showing up in a new dress.
Yeah. That can also cause arguments if you wear your girlfriend's dresses.
Have you ever done that?
No.
Why not?
I haven't really felt the need.
Okay.
I'll
What would
let
make
you
you
know.
feel the need?
Well, I don't know. I'll let you know when it happens.
Okay. Maybe this conversation by the sounds of it.
Yeah, maybe it's something I need to try.
Please don't.
No.
Here.
Oh no.
You can do it after. Jesus.
Post it all over my story.
God, what, you get more subscribers?
Yeah, I'll get more views. I reckon that is the reason that Sam Smith has gone through his interesting phase of wearing crazier and crazier clothes. He just needs attention because that's what gets him paid to then eventually pay off the debt that he's got to the label. It would make sense.
I don't think so. But you think what you want. So yeah, our relationship fight's really about the present. Probably rarely about the present moment. rarely about the present issue.
About 20% of the time.
Yeah, it's probably trivial, isn't it? Like current events, forgotten chores, laziness, money. It's all trivial, isn't it? It's often that deeper manifestation of issues that are actually deep rooted in your being, in my being, in the relationship. Whether it's past issues between you or whether it's past insecurities that that person's poked a finger at, poked the bear.
Yeah.
Relationship styles, man. Attachment styles. They are tough, insightful, helpful.
Helpful to understand.
What do you mean by that?
I'm now aware that I'm an avoidant, therefore I'll be able to avoid the avoidance.
It's the most avoidant thing you've ever said.
Yeah.
So it's like knowledge is power type mindset.
Yeah. Like if I was anxious, I could be aware that I have a proclivity to moan when I don't get text back, or moan when my other half goes out and does something and it's nothing wrong with that person. It's the fact that I'm unable to still feel loved when they're leaving.
Yeah.
It's like abandonment.
So I suppose putting a name to it allows you to have power over it. And it helps you to identify what the issue might be and work on it with your partner in a loving, safe environment.
Yeah.
And if you're not in a loving, safe environment, or you're not with someone at the moment, you can still work through these issues. You can still go to therapy. You can do your journaling. You can do your meditation. Whatever it might be, but you can definitely continue to work through it. Any key takeaways for you?
Yeah, is understand the reason why you do the things you do in relationships.
Nice.
It's, yeah, the ground shattering thing for me. Yeah.
Should find a word.
Hogwash.
Oh. Yeah. Hogwarts, indeed.